This movie tells a story about Batman who is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement when the Riddler, a sadistic serial killer, begins murdering key political figures in Gotham City. First of all, we got plenty of Batman movies throughout the years that if you're going to make another Batman movie, you'd better have something new to say. Unfortunately, we got almost none in this movie. There's no fresh approach to the material. There's a lot of room for something new. Unfortunately, this new take has a lot in common with the old takes. It's full of stuff you've seen before and not that long ago. Despite some moments where it seems like it might do something interesting, it decides to play it safe. It's a story that seems to think it's being original while it isn't. It's a shame that this latest entry doesn't open new doors in our understanding of cinema's most iconic superhero. It's more of the same and not nearly as good as what came before, or even particularly good in its own right. Despite a near 3-hour running time, this movie doesn't bother showing audiences anything new about the character. Robert Pattinson is an interesting screen presence with an air of strangeness and torment about him that should have served him well as Bruce Wayne. But he plays the entire movie in one long note of anguish and misery. This movie is 3 hours long. That's a long time to go without a single variation in mood and tone. To make it worse, the movie is trying to eliminate the good versus evil main theme of Batman character, so the only grounding point of focus can be on Batman's internal conflict. But that's not what's presented here. His performance doesn't suggest depth. He doesn't act conflicted, determined, or scared. There's very little emotional journey in the Batman character that's totally uninspiring. Almost all of the other characters are recognizable from previous Batman movies. The new layers on display here are easily derived from what came before. Batman has always had some of the best villains in comic books, and this movie decided to make them bland. All of the personality that made these characters unique to watch is stripped away to give us a more grounded version that we have seen done better in many other movies before. Each of these characters is portrayed by a great actor with a script that traps them in endless circles of brutal exposition. There's a new take on the Riddler character that's also problematic. He's now a character that's more in line with Jigsaw from the Saw franchise than the new inventive exploration from the comics. There's nothing particularly bold about this movie. It's mixing poor action sequences with a plodding mystery plot that lacks a satisfying resolution. The movie never finds decent footing in a way that amounts to anything. After the first hour climaxes with a public funeral being crashed by a drawn-out act of violence, it's clear that this movie has only few genuinely new tricks up its sleeve. To make it worse, the lethargic pacing saps the proceedings of intensity and suspense, muting its value as a white-knuckle action thriller. The fight scenes are pretty basic too, lacking in grace and athleticism. The bad gadgets are few and far between, but when they appear, they are strangely arbitrary. Overall, this movie is frustratingly safe, a movie full of potential for more and settling for less. There's simply no reason big IP films like this should be so afraid to break new ground, particularly one with so much going for it. It's only worsened by the overly long runtime, problematic plot and characters, and pacing issues. We don't think it's worth to watch this in theaters. Just wait on your streaming service.